Alright everyone, today we're going to be going over the detection lab, which so far is one of the best sandbox environments that I've seen that gets people acquainted with cybersecurity and IT in general. So for starters, the detection lab consists of the logger, which forwards logs over to the Splunk environment, the domain controller, which is an important component to hacking and Active Directory understanding, the Windows event forwarder, which sends over the logs over to the logger, and a Windows 10 device, which can be used actually for forensics and some hacking tools that are implemented by design within the Windows 10 box. So, to get started, I'll be showing how to get this lab set up through the GitHub environment that I found. I branched off and renamed to the CyberTraining website. Okay, for starters, one of the first things you'll need is to make sure that you have CPU virtualization enabled within your BIOS settings. If you don't have this turned on, you'll get a hiccup in the middle of the installation. So let's show you how to get that. Look up BIOS virtualization CPU. I'm sure there's a ton of videos available on YouTube already to show you how to do that. Depending on your motherboard type, that's going to change how this setting is enabled. Within the motherboard, once you restart the system, you'll be presented a UEFI, which is often referred to as a BIOS, will be presented with some advanced settings. So usually you're going to go to the advanced settings. Right here within advanced, you'll go to CPU configuration, and then you'll see something that enables virtualization. After that, once you identify that it's enabled, you can go ahead and get started with the rest of the steps. Okay, so for starters, we're gonna need Chocolatey. Chocolatey is a in-browser, a Windows native script that allows for Linux-like downloading of certain tools, um, effectively giving us an easy way to install the Sandbox without having to go to different websites to do that. Okay, once we have virtualization enabled in our BIOS, we're going to go ahead and open up a PowerShell within admin. Make sure you run as administrator, or otherwise a lot of stuff isn't going to work. Okay, go ahead and hit yes. And there is a command here. I'll put it in the comment description below. Effectively, you're going to copy and paste the command here, which allows you to download the Chocolatey program using PowerShell. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this from the description, and you'll see here this allows us to bypass the execution policy of PowerShell. We're going to force a command which allows us to open up a network port and connect to the following URL string found here, referencing Chocolatey. Okay, you'll see that I already had this downloaded. So here, once I go ahead and press enter, you'll see that it was already found. You'll get a different experience, but once that is complete, you can go ahead and go to the next step, which is installing Git. So this one's pretty simple. All we have to do, again, we can reference the notes in the description. I will type in choco install git. Again, you'll see this is already installed. You'll get a different experience, and it may take a second or two to install the system. If you're having any hiccups, you can always reinstall using the dash dash force after hitting choco install git. Okay, next up is installing Vagrant. Um, Vagrant is a program that allows us to deploy and remove virtual machines really easily. So this is why this is the bread and butter of the detection lab, because we can go ahead and open up and tear down a ton of virtual machines to our liking, and we'll go ahead and perform some kind of hack and then go back in time based on a snapshot that we've saved. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install Vagrant, Choco, install Vagrant-Y. Again, I already have it. Okay, before we go ahead and um, set up the clone of the existing detection lab or CyberTraining, whichever you're choosing, we're going to go to a folder and go ahead and create one. In my case, you'll see that I went in and created a folder called Detection Lab, so I'll be doing this with you. So from here, we're gonna go to the folder of our choosing. So we're gonna type cd, and just to make our lives easier, we're gonna go ahead and copy the folder location that we want to install into. So we're gonna copy, go to, this is cd, which is change directory, to our folder that we copy pasted. We don't want to go to the Git folder, so what we're going to do is double click the detection lab and fix the folder. Okay, if you want to erase the whole thing, you press Control C, and we're going to go back, copy it, and paste the folder that we actually want to get the information from. You'll see I forgot to put CD. I'm going to go ahead and press the same folder name, press enter. You'll see now our PowerShell is pointing to the detection lab. Now we can go ahead and clone the detection lab repository into our system. Okay, once we hit git clone, it'll start to download all the files that are relevant to the detection lab. Once that's complete, we'll be ready to get to the fun stuff here. Alright, so now that this is done, we need to get to the next step. This is going to be choosing a virtualization software. So it's going to be install either VirtualBox or VMware. Because most virtualization technology uses VMware, I recommend learning and getting acquainted with VMware software, as that's going to be most relevant for developing your skill set in any enterprise level technology. So you can go ahead and install, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm more acquainted with VirtualBox within my own environment, um, even though I use VMware at an enterprise level. Okay, so really simple. You could just type in Choco install VirtualBox, um, or if you choose to do Choco install um, VMware, we can look into that for you guys if you want. So we'll do Choco install VMware workstation. looks a little bit more complicated here, as you can see. So alternatively, um, let's see. All right, I did find an alternative to Workstation Pro. You'll see the actual script that we need to run. It's choco install VMware dash workstation dash player. So let's go ahead and enter that. Choco install VMware workstation dash player. Add in a T, sorry about that. And you'll see that it's going through just fine. We could go ahead and hit A for all. Again, the process is going to be roughly the same for both VMware Workstation and the VirtualBox. You see that it failed, so if we do have issues here, let's not be lazy. Let's just go to VMware Workstation Player and download it manually if we have to. You'll see the install here, but in this case, at this point, you'll have a basic idea how to get both Workstation and VirtualBox running. So we'll be ready to move forward to the next step of actually provisioning the virtual machines. So let's make sure we go to Detection Lab and see that all the information here is downloaded from the GitHub repository. So we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to make sure we're in this case, I'm in the Detection Lab. So what I'm going to do is navigate over to the original folder. I'm going to go to CyberTraining and look here, we got to redo the download of the repository. So give me a couple minutes and we will get back on track. Alright, looks like we're back up and running. We're going to open up the CyberTraining folder. Again, making sure that this is appropriately populated with the right files, or that it has files at all. And then let's go to the virtualization provider. So in this case, we'll see the Vagrant file, and then this file, Vagrant file, is the one we're looking for. We're going to edit. In this case, I have Notepad++, but you don't really need anything specific. Notepad is just fine. Okay, we're going to look for the following command line, which is the vm.provider. So we're going to look up vm.provider, and if it contains a comment, that's the one we're going to remove. So you'll see here that it has a, if you see a hashtag on this file or on this line, we're going to want to remove that so it's no longer a comment. Okay. Next up, once we're in the folder that we need to be in, we're in CyberTraining, but we need to navigate to the second self-named folder. So let's go there. So we're going to type cd, paste the folder we want to be in, and then we're going to type Vagrant up. Assuming there is no issues, we should start seeing some files begin to populate. We'll even get a VirtualBox process and program start to load in our desktop. So in real time, you'll see the entire detection lab begin to come alive and give us a chance to performing any investigations or hacks or forensic investigations on any behavior that we exhibit within the environment. Okay, so you'll see we hit another couple snags here. We'll see machine default with VirtualBox. It's checking the folders, and you'll see that it's already provisioned. Um, if we want to go ahead and run the system, we'll go ahead and do that in a moment. We hit a little snag earlier, so in the prior portion, we went ahead and ran Vagrant up. We just needed to get into the Vagrant folder, so we're going to type Vagrant up now. And this portion is going to run and start to provision the Logger DC, Windows Event Forwarder, and the Windows 10 VirtualBox machines. You'll see because we uncommented the VirtualBox line, you'll see that it's starting up with the VirtualBox provider. We're going to go ahead and let it run. Don't be surprised if it takes a bit. There may be some additional steps you might need to do if you come across any problems. And we'll go over that right after this is complete. Assuming everything goes well, you'll see the systems are starting to upload, get the related guest information, SSH keys, NAT systems, local address information, port translation, all that good stuff. While it loads up, if you do have any problems, there are ways to tear up and manually build up the systems that are related to the detection lab. You'll find that within the detectionlab.network website. From here, a good easy way to get this is to reload the system, starting with destroying it. So you're going to type vagrant destroy hostname if you have any problems there. Otherwise, you can just run vagrant reload. You can actually go ahead and open up multiple PowerShell sessions, run them in tandem, and the PowerShell scripts will run independently and create domain controller, Windows Event folder forwarder, and go ahead and provision them all at once. Just be aware that it might slow down your computer. While it's loading, you'll notice that on our side, we got Logger running as it's starting to build it up. We'll be having the same thing happen for the Windows Event Forwarder, the domain controller, as it starts to build up in real time. Pretty cool to watch if you guys haven't done this before. You'll start getting more information as the PowerShell script starts to run. So just make sure that you're keeping tabs on it. It's not just slowing down. Often you'll get this blinking light here. Just press enter just to make sure that there isn't anything missing or loading. If you have any issues, go ahead and send a comment into the comment section and we'll see if we can figure it out. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes now, so we'll see the progress going so far. We'll see the domain controller is up and running. In the background, you'll see the domain controller showing that it is domain joined. And we'll slowly see that the logger is requesting for the Vagrant login. For those of you who haven't seen the instructions, you'll know that the Vagrant login is the Vagrant account, and then the password will be Vagrant as well. Okay, we just hit another 10 minutes at the installation process. We did have to re-update the Win 10 device, so what I did is I just typed in Vagrant up Win 10, and you'll see that the Win 10 device is actually starting to get provisioned, which is awesome. We have all three devices up and running: DC, Logger, Windows Event Forwarder, and the Win 10 device getting provisioned as we speak. This one took about 5 minutes. This one's the lowest resource requirement. You'll see Vagrant starting to get loaded. Um, the Vagrant account, I should say. And then each of these, I can show you the login and the process, but we'll just start with the Windows Event Forwarder. You'll see that it's asking for the Control Alt Delete to unlock. So I'm going to go ahead and input, insert Control Alt Delete, which is going to be host plus delete. I just like to press a button. You see Vagrant is the account name, and then Vagrant's going to be the password. On each of these systems, they'll have their own different processes. I actually like the Win10 device. This is going to have a lot of red and blue team tools, including FTK Imager, Procmon. So you can do a deeper dive into the behavior exhibited by any of the exploits you want to showcase on your videos if you want to make any. On the other side of things, we'll see the DC, which is the domain controller, giving you a good idea of how Active Directory works. If you already know how Active Directory works, you can go ahead and perform your own simulations and test out GPOs administration on a live Active Directory simulation environment. So we could just go ahead and type in Active Directory. We'll identify the name of the domain is WinDomain. And we can look at the Active Directory forest as we decide to dig into the environment itself. Here you'll see administrator, built-in account. If you dig into some of these accounts, you might just find a password somewhere in the comment description. Furthermore, in domain admins, you can add, remove your own accounts as you choose. Give yourself elevation or even remove yourself if you want to give yourself a bit more of a challenge. Another thing here, we already showcased the domain controllers. You'll see DC, which is this computer. Entered into the domain controllers OU. You'll see that it's a member of the domain controllers OU, and you could delegate rights to this system. Look into the properties and identify any sort of GPOs or any permissions assigned to this OU, and by association, the domain controller. At this point, we're going to log back into the Win10 device. Looks like it's fully up and running. We're going to type Vagrant for the password. And you'll see that my mouse has gone missing. If that happens, you just type in the right Alt key or right control, depending on whether you use VirtualBox or VMware, to give yourself the mouse capability back. Another thing to keep in mind is that each of these boxes do take up one CPU each, so you're going to need at least 4 cores to run this entire environment for each of the devices. Okay, looking at the Windows 10 box, you can go here and look at Win10. You'll see each of the users. Look at the Vagrant box. And then assuming it has Active Directory, you can look at its associations here. As you can see, this work group means that this system is not a part of the domain. So you'll be an external user, and you could find a way to hack yourself back into the network if you can find a way into it. Alright, looks like I misspoke earlier. I did have some issues with getting the system up to the domain. That looked like it was actually an issue with me having already installed the Sandbox at an earlier point. So what I went ahead and did is I completely deleted the old detection lab folder, and then I went ahead and hit Vagrant destroy -F, completely eliminating the virtual machine data, and then typing in the Vagrant up DC first and foremost. I'm going to do the same here with Vagrant up, and we'll start with the logger second. But I'm just going to make sure that the DC is completed. And then after that, once the DC is completed, we can run the other three systems in tandem. So we're going to do Vagrant up logger and then Vagrant up Windows Event Forwarder so they can get completed simultaneously. Once this is 100%, just as before, we'll see Windows Server is already in our VirtualBox Manager. Eventually, the naming schema is going to have the dc.windowmain.local as before, and all four virtual machines will be up and running all over again. Again, you guys have any problems, you'll see Vagrant reload dash provision if you want to get one system back up and running. Sometimes you'll hit some errors, and you'll see that in the logs here. You'll see some things similar to what I'm seeing. Not every case is going to be the same. In my case, I just turned them off because I couldn't get the Windows 10 box up and running as expected. A little bit frustrating for me, but good intel for you guys in case you guys hit any kind of problems similar to my own. Secondly, as I said before, if you want to do a complete restart, you'll do Vagrant destroy -F, destroy all the folders, go to the Vagrant hidden folder, which is going to be in detection lab / Vagrant. In my case, you'll see here, those are my virtual machines, Vagrant machines, and then the default folder. But in my case, I actually went ahead and downloaded it into my Vagrant folder, which is going to be in the GitHub folder that I entered it into CyberTraining. And then you'll see the Vagrant folder, and then the .vagrant folder again, and then you'll see the machines folder will include all four machines. So afterwards, like it says, delete the .vagrant hidden folder inside. So one thing you could do to make sure you have the hidden folder view enabled is go ahead and we're going to type view hidden items, and if it's not there, in this case you'll see the .vagrant folder is loaded. Once that's complete, you remove that. All of the scripts involved will re-provision the systems with the Vagrant scripts, and then you'll be able to recreate your sandbox over and over again once you get the hang of it. Alright everyone, that's the main components of this and the setup of the detection lab / cyber training virtual environment. For the next videos, we'll start going over some basic Active Directory security stuff. Some of these will contain a bit of hacking tools, and then we'll be showcasing how to investigate the behavior using Suricata, Zeek, Splunk, and what the behavior means for us in a forensic environment. So stay tuned, guys. We'll go ahead and showcase some cooler stuff along the way. You guys have a good one.